Tonight, Michael Bloomberg rolling out a new ad. And yeah, you heard me right. He is still spending, and he's spending big time to defeat Trump, even though he dropped out of the Democratic race for president. In fact, a Bloomberg aide tells CNN the billionaire former New York City mayor will employ hundreds of former campaign staffers to help the eventual Democratic nominee. Out front now, Andrew Yang, former Democratic presidential candidate. And Andrew, you know Mayor Bloomberg. You've talked to him since he dropped out of the race, something he clearly did not want to do, right? He thought he was going to do better than he did. I mean, being honest, he wanted to be the nominee. Did you talk about this?
I haven't talked to Mike since he dropped out. I talked to him beforehand. Yeah. Clearly, this was not the scenario that he'd projected or his team had projected. But it's great that he is going to keep some of his resources in the field, because his resources and personnel and technology are second to none in the Democratic field. And if the Democrats are going to win in the fall, he's going to be a big part of it.
So everyone wanted to know what you were going to do next. People are always asking, oh, he's at CNN, but what's he doing? What's he doing? What's Andrew Yang doing? So today you launched something called Humanity Forward. So what is your number one goal?
Well, our goal is to champion the ideas of my campaign around the future of work, universal basic income, a human-centered economy, and the fact that our data should be ours even if we lend it to the technology companies. So we're launching this new nonprofit. I came today, and we already have 3 million plus in pledges to give to the American people in the form of universal basic income and show that this economy should work for us and not the other way around.
So universal basic income, right? That's a core part of it. I mean, you talk about data, but I know that's a core part of it. It was a centerpiece of your campaign. You have said, Andrew, that if Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders were to buy into that idea, to support that idea, it would go a long way to earning your endorsement. Now, you know what they've said about this policy in the past. Maybe that's why you have this somewhat of a smirk. It's like a Mona Lisa look on your face. But for people who don't know, here is what Biden and Sanders have said about universal basic income.
A job's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. And get an annual wage to sit home and do nothing. You strip people.
What we believe in is guaranteeing a job in this country to anybody who is prepared to work. I think that's the better approach.
Okay, so they obviously they have dismissed it. Do you see either one of them changing their view and earning your endorsement with your very young, very enthusiastic support base?
I talked to Joe just a few days ago, and Joe and I have had several private conversations about the seriousness of the fourth industrial revolution. Mm-hmm. Joe believes that we are going through this profound technological shift, and though we agree on the diagnosis
and things like that.
Yeah, Joe's deeply concerned about it. And we agree on the diagnosis. We're not on the same page in terms of the prescription or the approach. And Bernie and I debated on one of the debate stages about a universal basic income versus a federal jobs guarantee. I think a federal jobs guarantee is something that might seem good in principle, but would be kind of disastrous in real life if implemented.
I think I remember asking you that question, but in that debate. But so you've talked to Joe Biden personally, but not to Bernie Sanders. I mean, are you going to endorse or?
Well, Bernie called me after I suspended, and he was very warm and congratulatory. I've said, number one, that I want someone to come out for some of the policies that I championed, but also I have a very healthy degree of respect for the democratic process. I think the goal is to have a nominee, and then I will campaign my heart out for that nominee to beat Donald Trump in the fall.
So speaking of campaigning, you told a news outlet this week that you were, quote, looking at a run for mayor of New York in 2021. This is maybe the biggest job in the country, one of the biggest jobs in the country. I mean, right? The biggest city. We all know this. Some candidates have already jumped in. What are you waiting for to make your choice?
Well, Erin, I'm a problem solver, and I want to see, frankly, what the other candidates bring to the table, what New York might look like under their leadership. If they're on the same page as I am in terms of a lot of the things that they would want to do for the city, then frankly, I don't feel as pressing a need to jump in. And many of the problems I focused on in my presidential campaign are just going to grow in scope and seriousness over time. So we're looking at the New York mayoral race, but it's one of several things we're looking at.
Okay, so I want to ask you a question about a story that we aired, very personal story to you, about Evelyn, your wife. She broke her silence about being sexually abused by her doctor in 2012 when she was pregnant. I can't even imagine how hard it was for her to talk about this. And she did, and she has made such a huge impact, because since that story aired, her lawyer tells us, and you may know even more, 52 additional women have come forward and said that this doctor did similar things to them. This is incredible.
Well, I just want to thank you, Erin, and also Dana for the incredible interview with Evelyn. It was deeply personal, and she felt like you presented it in the best possible way. And I've been staggered by the outpouring of gratitude, really, to Evelyn for telling her story, because there are dozens of other women who've come forward about the very same doctor. And now the DA has reopened investigation of this doctor. We all know this doctor should not be anywhere but prison. And the fact that you and your helping Evelyn unearth this story helped bring this doctor closer to justice is something we're deeply grateful to you for.
Well, I think a lot of people are deeply grateful to Evelyn for what she did. The courage to do that is, I think anybody watching, man or woman, can imagine how incredibly brave that was. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Erin. It's great to be here.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.